One night in a town of Veracruz, a young farmer, Itzel, saw a golden-eyed figure near the forest. Startled, she asked, "Who are you?" The figure's form shifted between human and animal as it replied, "I am Tlali, a Nahuali of the old ways." Tlali explained how Nahuals once protected the village, celebrated for their spiritual power. But with the Spaniards' arrival, they were condemned as demonic, silenced, and forced into hiding. Though condemned, Tlali said, retreating into the shadows, the spirit of the Nahual lingers, waiting to roam free again. Nahuals are beings with origins in pre-Hispanic Mesoamerica. They were believed to be humans, often shamans or sorcerers, who had the ability to transform into animals. This power was thought to come from their deep spiritual connection to nature, which reflected the broader indigenous worldview of harmony between humans and the natural world. Many gods in these cultures were believed to take animal forms, reinforcing the idea that this ability symbolized spiritual strength. The belief in Nahuals was widespread, with variations in how these beings were understood across different regions. Nahuals were often divided into two types: those who were helpful and protective, and those who were harmful or dangerous. The good Nahuals acted as spiritual guides, healers, or defenders of their communities, using their powers for positive purposes. The bad Nahuals were feared as sorcerers, who could harm others, steal livestock, or bring misfortune. Legends describe Nahuals transforming into a variety of animals, including wolves, eagles, jaguars, coyotes, and even domestic animals like dogs or turkeys. Each animal was believed to represent specific traits or powers, such as strength, cunning, or agility. If Nahuals are humans who transform into animals, and sometimes that animal is a wolf, what sets them apart from other shape-shifting legends? Some people might compare them to werewolves from European folklore or skinwalkers from Navajo traditions. So, are Nahuals just the Mexican version of these creatures? The answer is far more nuanced. To equate Nahuals with werewolves or skinwalkers would oversimplify their rich cultural significance and distinct roots. It would be like saying, the Day of the Dead is just another Halloween. Unlike werewolves, whose transformations are often depicted as involuntary and tied to curses, Nahuals transform intentionally, using their abilities for specific purposes. In contrast to skinwalkers, who are often portrayed as entirely malevolent figures in Navajo lore, Nahuals can have either positive or negative roles depending on the individual. The term Nahual comes from the Nahuatl word Nahuali, which translates to "my clothing or skin." This term reflects the idea of transformation as a change in outer form while maintaining one's core identity. Nahuals were not considered monsters, but rather intermediaries between the human and spiritual worlds, a role tied to the indigenous belief system that emphasized the interconnectedness of all life. In some traditions, Nahuals are believed to fully merge with their animal forms, experiencing life entirely as the animal. In these cases, the person's human consciousness and the animal's instincts coexist, allowing the Nahual to interact with the world in unique ways. In other versions of the legend, Nahuals are said to have two hearts, one belonging to their human form and another to their animal form. This dual heart concept allows them to maintain a connection with both their human and animal identities, sharing the animal's perspective while retaining human awareness. In some regions, Nahuals are closely tied to a specific animal spirit, often referred to as a tonal. The tonal is a kind of spiritual counterpart or guide, believed to be linked to a person from birth. If a person's tonal animal is harmed or killed, it is said to directly affect the individual's health or life, reinforcing the spiritual bond between the Nahual and their animal form. Before the arrival of the Spanish, Nahuals played an important role in indigenous spiritual practices. Shamans and other spiritual leaders who were believed to be Nahuals acted as mediators between humans and the gods. They were thought to use their transformative powers to communicate with the divine, protect their communities, and influence the natural world. Nahuals were often associated with rituals, healing practices, and agricultural blessings, reflecting their integral role in daily life. The Aztec Empire, one of the dominant civilizations in Mesoamerica, incorporated the concept of Nahuals into its belief system. The Aztecs believed that their gods often took animal forms, and that humans could share in this divine ability through spiritual discipline or magical practices. Nahuals were not merely supernatural beings, but were also seen as extensions of the natural world's forces, embodying the balance and unity of life. The arrival of Spanish colonizers in the 16th century drastically altered how Nahuals were perceived. The Spanish introduced Christianity to the region and sought to suppress indigenous religions and practices. Nahuals, once respected as spiritual figures, were redefined as evil beings associated with witchcraft and the devil. This transformation was part of the Spanish strategy to assimilate indigenous populations by undermining their cultural and religious traditions. Colonial authorities and missionaries portrayed Nahuals as dangerous sorcerers who used their powers to harm others. Stories of Nahuals began to emphasize their malevolent qualities, casting them as threats to Christian communities. This shift in perception persisted for centuries, blending indigenous beliefs with colonial fears and superstitions. In contemporary Mexico, belief in Nahuals continues, especially in rural areas where indigenous traditions remain strong. While some people view Nahuals as part of folklore, others take these stories seriously, often attributing unexplained events to their influence. For example, Nahuals are sometimes blamed for bad luck, missing livestock, or mysterious illnesses. These beliefs reflect the lingering impact of colonial narratives that emphasize the Nahuals' dangerous nature. In modern stories, Nahuals are often described as individuals who use dark magic to transform into animals and harm others. This portrayal contrasts sharply with their original role as protectors and spiritual guides. However, some communities still honor the Nahuals as a symbol of indigenous identity and resilience. In these cases, Nahuals are seen as a connection to a rich cultural heritage that has survived centuries of colonization. These representations highlight the enduring appeal of the Nahual as a symbol of transformation and spiritual power. The concept of Nahuals carries significant symbolic meaning. As shapeshifters, they represent transformation, adaptability, and the connection between humans and the natural world. In indigenous belief systems, animals were not seen as separate from humans, but as spiritual counterparts. Each animal was thought to possess unique qualities that could be shared with a Nahual during their transformation. Nahuals also symbolize the dual nature of power, reflecting both its creative and destructive potential. This duality is evident in the contrasting roles of Nahuals as protectors or threats. Their stories serve as a reminder of the responsibilities that come with power and the importance of using it wisely. Nahuals remain an enduring part of Mexican cultural traditions, representing a complex blend of indigenous spirituality and colonial influence. While their role as spiritual guides has diminished, they continue to captivate the imagination through their stories and symbolism. Whether viewed as protectors, messengers, or enigmatic threats, Nahuals offer insights into the spiritual beliefs of pre-Hispanic cultures and their understanding of the natural world. Their legacy reflects the resilience of indigenous traditions, which have survived centuries of suppression and continue to inspire new interpretations today. By exploring the myths and meanings of Nahuals, we can gain a deeper appreciation for the cultural heritage of Mexico and the ways it has shaped perceptions of identity, power, and the supernatural.